Hi, good evening, everyone. How are we all doing today? Thank you for joining me in this session, and it's another session of raising the strong-willed child with confidence. And if you can see me and if you can hear me, kindly just put it in the comment section that you can see me and you can hear me. Please, if you can, just let me know so I can just go ahead. I don't want to waste time because we have a very long way to go. So if you can see me and you can hear me, anyone here, just put it in the comment section that you can see me and you can hear me so we can just go ahead with today's class. Okay. Okay, my name is Christabel Ehiabili and I'm your host. Oh, Omotola Oluwabusola, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so please can you see me? If you can see me and you can hear me, just put it in the comment section that you can see me. And if you're just joining this channel for the first time, kindly click on the subscribe button and subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost anything. Okay, so today we are going to just go straight into our topic for today: disciplining the strong-willed child without breaking their spirit. You see, most times the way we discipline our children go a long way on how they turn out to be. One of the tough first part of parenting is discipline, because most times people don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They just parent based on assumption. They do things based on how they were raised. Most of the times we say, oh, we don't want to repeat the same pattern that we are used to raise us. But most times, thank you. Okay, you can see me. Oh, all right. Thank you. So most times we tend to repeat the same pattern over and over and over again. We say things like, oh, I want to do better. But we find out that if we don't address the foundation, if we don't address the foundation, Bible says if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? If we don't address the foundation, we see that we keep repeating the same patterns. Never neglect patterns. Patterns can be repeated. If you were raised in a certain way, it's possible for you to also raise your children the same way if you don't do the right thing or if you don't acquire knowledge. So I'm glad you are here today to learn, and I appreciate you for coming here. So if you are watching the replay, kindly put in the comment section that I am catching the replay, so I would know you're catching the replay. And if you are getting value from this session, please do me a favor of just putting down what you have learned. So I will come back and read from you and know that, oh, this person, this is what you got from this session. Okay, please don't just watch and just go like that. Oh, let me just watch and go. No, that's not what I want. I want you to watch, drop your comments, drop what you understood, what you are going to be applying on your journey. Okay, so that's how to learn. One thing about learning is that when you learn something and you don't apply it, it tends to just go away. But immediately you learn that thing, is the best time to start working on it is now. You don't wait for tomorrow. You learn and you keep applying. The difference between those people that are getting results is the application of knowledge. We don't just acquire knowledge, but we apply the knowledge that we have. Okay, so let's just move on to what we have to do today. So I will be presenting with my slides. I have my slides here. The slides will just keep me in check, and so that I would not go beyond time. So we have started by 8:40. 8:40, let's say 8:40. So we should leave here in the next 1 hour 20 minutes. We should be done with this session. And for those people that are not here now, they will be able to catch it replay. I know a lot of people might be busy with a lot of things, but that's fine. We move. I can't keep waiting on for people, so we just have to do what we have to do. People will catch the replay. Okay, so how to discipline the strong witcher. So I want to look at this woman. Can you see how frustrated and tired she is? She's tired. She said, oh my god, I don't know how to do this any longer. I'm tired, I'm frustrated. These children want to rip me up, they want to I'm just tired. What do I do? Are you in that shoes of this woman? I want to tell you that you are in the right place. My name is Christabel Habile, and I am that person that can help you and can provide solutions to you to help you manage the behavior of your children. I wanted to also let you know that I am not a perfect parent. The fact that I am here today speaking to you doesn't mean that I have everything figured out. I am a teacher, and based on experience and based on how I have raised my children, and also learning from other people, learning from experience, learning from experts, and also learning from people that has gone through this path, I've gathered enough knowledge, and I am the best fit to take you on this journey. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is science based, based on experience, and based on facts. So, whatever you're going to be learning today, please just take it and hold it very well because it is gold. Okay, so discipline is one of that toughest part of parenting, and I've had a lot of things. I've heard parents come to complain about a lot of things. Oh, I don't know what to do about this child. This child is making me go mad. This child is going to making me go crazy. What do I do? Yes, there's a solution for you. There's help. There's help. So you are not without help. You have help. And this is one of the help that God has sent to you. So most times when we pray to God and we keep praying to God, we keep disturbing God's ears, and God is telling you that I've given my solution to my daughter. Go and listen to her, but you just neglect it. Oh, who is this person talking? But God has given the solution to me, but you have not come to me. So now, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you. I don't take it for granted. Thank you for listening to the voice of God. For you to pay for this course, it means that you've listened to the voice of God to come and learn. Okay? So let's go on. So what is your goal as a parent? So your goal as a parent will determine your disciplinary strategy. So many of us will have strong willed children. God has put so much gift inside of your children, but the way we raise them will limit who they have been called to be. I see a lot of children who have so much potentials, who God has put so much inside of them, but they are not fulfilling their purpose. What if I tell you that the reason why they have not been fulfilling their purpose could be as a result of the disciplinary strategy that was meted out on them while they were growing up? So my goal as a parent is to raise my kids to be safe, kind, respectful, and productive human being. Now, my goal isn't to raise an obedient child. So there's a difference between obedience and respectful. So for obedience is do what I do. Don't even complain. Just do it. But respectful means your child is thinking. Many of us, our goal is to raise children who are obedient but not respectful, meaning they only obey you when you are around, but when you are not at that point, at that place, they tend to do something else. So I want to ask you this question: what is your goal as a parent? So your goal as a parent will determine how you are going to discipline your child. So if you have a goal, every one of us don't have the same goal. Your goal might be small. So if your goal is small, you might just do anything you like. But if you have a big goal, if you know where you are going to, if you know your future, you know the future of your children. Thank you, Mrs. Okpara. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. You can see me. God bless you for joining this session. I do not take this for granted. Thank you for coming to listen to me and listen to learning about your child. God bless you. So let's go on. So my goal is to raise my kids to be safe, kind, respectful, and productive human beings. You know, there's a difference between having children and productive and unproductive children. So that should be your goal. Sure, this might not be your goal, but this is my goal. But you can also add it to your goal to raise children who are productive, who can think, who can reason. You know, the way you discipline your children can also determine how they become productive. So many people have their brain have been tampered with, their emotions have been tampered with, their self-esteem has been tampered with. A child who has a self-esteem that has been tampered with would find it difficult to be productive. The child can't think. The child can't make friends. The child cannot make money. The child cannot engage with people and think positively. You see the reasons why many people don't, at the end of the day, even though God has deposited in so many things inside of them, they might not be able to achieve that purpose because of their childhood background or upbringing. So what is your disciplinary method? Is it helping your child or is it destroying your child? That should be a question you should ask yourself. The aim of your disciplinary measure, is it helping your child? Is it helping your child? Your child is strong-willed. Your child is always trying to lead. He's always trying to be very bossy. He doesn't listen. He's always everywhere, wants to touch, wants to drag things, and the only way you know and the only scripture you have in your head concerning discipline is spare the rod and spoil the child. That is the only one you know. Then how is that helping your child? Is it going to help the child? Because the aim of discipline is to help the child. So we will get there. We will understand what really is discipline. So what really is discipline? Let's look at the word discipline. What exactly is the word discipline? Now discipline comes from the Latin word disciplinia. It means to teach and it is to train. So whenever I hear this word discipline, I look at my Bible and I think about Jesus and the Bible. Jesus Christ was called a discipler. He discipled his disciples. So he's just like you leading somebody, you directing. He says, I am the good shepherd. I am the good shepherd. My sheep hears my voice. So your children are just like sheep. They are following your guide. They are leading you. That is the word discipline. Like it came from the word disciplinaire. Means to train, to teach, to lead, to direct, to mentor, to help your child. That is the word discipline. Discipline is not about punishment. So when you are thinking about discipline, don't think discipline is about punishment. Discipline is not punishment. It's about teaching. It's about teaching. Priscilla, you are welcome. I appreciate you for coming here. Thank you so much. God bless you for being here. So discipline is about teaching. It's about helping your child to learn responsibility, self-control. I shared a guide in the group today. You see, that guide will help your child self-regulate. So most times we call discipline punishment. It is a very different thing entirely. It is not the same. Discipline is not punishment. Punishment is not discipline. The disciplinary measure should teach your child, should help your child to manage their emotions. It should help them to impact their choices positively. Okay? So the goal of discipline is to teach, not to punish. It is about instilling values. Discipline is a very wide topic. It's about instilling the right values in your children. Respect for others. So one of the greatest gifts you can give to your child is the gift of discipline, because it is the key to your child's future success. So if your child is going to be successful tomorrow, it finds its roots in discipline, because discipline is teaching, it is training, it is helping. So if a child, like the Bible says, it said a child who is not disciplined will bring what? Shame to the mother. So someone that is going to bring shame to the mother, how can that child be successful? So that is it. So discipline is about helping your child to become all God has called them to be. Meaning it's you are the one who is going to teach, you are the one who is going to guide, you are the one who is going to help your child. So that is what discipline is all about. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not punishment, it's a different thing entirely. So the best way to approach discipline is for you to be proactive. Proactiveness is the key. Meaning, what does proactiveness means? Meaning you have to think before you act. So before you even act, you start thinking. Before your child does something, or you immediately see your child doing something that is wrong, you start thinking, how do I help this child? I redirect this child to a positive thing. Don't think about, oh, what is the thing to do to this child, what punishment am I giving to your child. If your disciplinary strategy is only focused on punishment, it means that you are your child will see you as a police. Let me use the word police. We see you as a police, because most times you see those police in police in the junction. What did they do? Most times they just punish, you don't even think. So if your disciplinary measure is only thinking about consequence, it's not thinking about how to reward your child or how to help your child, that means it's a failed strategy. The reason many people resort to the wrong discipline is because they lack knowledge. They don't have knowledge. So you are here today, you are not without knowledge. You know, I used to say that you are not without knowledge, you have knowledge. So you might repeat the same pattern because like I said in the beginning when I started, I said patterns can be repeated. It's possible for you to repeat the same pattern that was used to raise you. So I want you to think about your background. Think about where you are coming from. How was I raised? If your parents use the wrong disciplinary measure for you, there's possibility for you to repeat the same pattern on your children. There's possibility for you to still do the same thing over and over and again. Why? Because you just feel that this thing is the way that I was raised. This is how I was raised. This is how I thought. You don't know better. That is the only thing you know. You don't know better. So there's possibility for you to still repeat the same pattern. The same pattern will still be repeated because patterns repeat themselves. If something was done to you and you feel that, oh, this is the best way it was done, you will still think about it and say, oh, this is the same, this is the best way, because you don't know better. But I congratulate you for being here today and learning about these things. And I trust me, when you start applying these things in your journey, you start seeing a very drastic result. Okay, so please don't make the mistake of repeating the same pattern. Don't make that mistake, because who is going to suffer it? It's your children. It says when two elephants fight, who suffers it? It is the ground that suffers it. It is the ground that suffers it. So whatever you are doing now, don't think about yourself. What is the effect of this procedure on my children? What is the resultant effect? Think about the effects. So whenever you think about the effect, you will understand that, oh, should I do this or should I not do that? Should I do this or should I not do that? Let me tell you one thing. One thing you should take home today is that how you were raised might not be the best way. There are better ways. So you should still think and still seek for better ways. Think, what is there a better way to do this thing? My child did this. Is there a better way, or is it the same way that I was raised, that I want to still use that same pattern? Think about it. Think about it. Your foundation, the foundation you are laying for your children today will determine how they are going to turn out to be tomorrow. You need to do better. You have to make up your mind that you would not use the same pattern. You will not use the same pattern. Foundation is very important. The foundation you are laying for your children is very important. So you must not make that mistake. You must not make that mistake at all. Never make that mistake. So let us look at the effect of the wrong disciplinary approach on your children. You see, many of us grew up in very dysfunctional home where um, punishment is the order of the day. In fact, your parents, any little thing you do, you are being criticized, you are being abused. You don't know, verbally abused, psychological abuse, physically abused, and now it has an effect on how you are acting out. So some things we do today, we don't even know that it is because of the dysfunctional childhood where we are coming from. Many of us need to be, like I used to say something, I said most of us, 80% of Nigeria needs to go for therapy. We need therapy because the truth is that many of us have been battered psychologically, mentally, physically, and we don't know. You see the reason, you see most times the way you act, somebody talks to you, you are very, very violent. You are very violent. The way you speak with so much violence. You might not even know, but because of the way you were raised and the way you were being spoken to, you see yourself repeating the same pattern to your children. It's a result of your upbringing. We are all products of nurture and nature. Nurture means the way we were nurtured, and nature means our environment. Our environment matters. So that environmental influence will play a lot on your life. So what is that effect? Because if you don't know the effect of this wrong disciplinary method, we keep repeating the same pattern. So if you know that this thing is going to harm your child, would you still do it? It means you don't love your child. If you say you love your child so well, you will think about the effect before you even take a step, or before you take any approach. You will think about it. Is this thing going to affect my child? Is it going to bring about change in my child? Is it going to help my child? Is it going to help them become productive? So you think about these things. So if I were to give you 20 billion naira today, I give you 20 billion naira and I tell you, and I give you a child and I tell you, this child I'm giving unto you, this 20 billion naira, you would not beat this child though. You will not hit this child. You will not speak to the child wrongly. What will you do? You will find everything possible within your power to make sure you don't hit the child. What will you do? You will start going to buy books. You see some people going to hire coaches because they've been given 20 billion naira. So I want to tell you something. Your child is worth more than that 20 billion naira. If you nurture that child according to God's divine plan and template, trust me, Mrs. Francisca, you are welcome. I appreciate you for joining here. Thank you so much for coming in. So, you will see that. Sorry, I digress. If you use that same method, if you have 20 billion naira, 20 billion naira was given to you, you will see that you start looking for better methods to raise your children. You look for better methods. You want to use the same way, the same methods that you have been using to raise them before. You start looking for better method. That is what you should do. Always seek to do better. Always seek to do better. One common reference by Bible verse in the Bible is using the book of Proverbs 13 verse 24, which says, whosoever spares the rod spoils the child. Whosoever spares the rod spoils the child. But did you know that that part of the Bible says spare the rod and spoil the child is actually misinterpreted. Spare the rod. Do you know there's a part of the Bible that also talked about the rod as being a comfort? Do you know that? Where it says in the book in the book of Psalm 23 verse 4, it says, for even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Say, for you are with me, your rod and your staff comforts me. Your rod, meaning the rod can be a comfort. So why do we say spare the rod? When you say spare the rod, so meaning that rod is not just, it was just used literally. It is not what it really means. It is not what it really means. So the rod and the staff represents guidance, represents protection, a disciplinary measure provided by God to humanity. Okay? So when David said, your rod and your staff comforts me, meaning your rod brings me comfort, your rod guides me, your rod protects me, your rod shields me, your rod helps me, it comforts me. So how can a rod that is comforting end up making a mess out of someone? It's not possible. It is not. So understand this fact that this thing, the way we see it is not how we see it. The more you see, the more you look, the less you see. So when we are quoting scriptures, learn to balance it up so that we would not end up destroying ourselves or our children. Do you know there's also a part in the Bible where they said a child who is rebellious to their father should be stoned to death? How many of us stone our children to death? How many of us have stoned our children to death? Many of us have not done so. We have not practiced that part. So why did we pick only one part of the Bible and we start emphasizing on it? No, we don't do that. So understand this one. Is there a better way? Is there a better way? If there's a better way, why don't we approach better ways? I'm going to be showing you better ways on how to deal with this um thing called discipline. Okay, so let us look at the effect of the wrong. So one of those effects is learned helplessness. Have you noticed that you as a person, that sometimes you just feel helpless? You just feel helpless, like you don't even know what to do. You want to do some things, but you just feel, I'm just tired, Jare. Like it's just like you can't help yourself. You see, when you approach wrong disciplinary strategy on your child, a child may develop a sense of learned helplessness. They'll feel powerless, unable to control their environment or outcomes. Another thing it does to you is damages your trust. Your child will not even trust you anymore. Your child won't trust you anymore. Low self-esteem. We see children with a lot of low self-esteem. Now, low self-esteem can show in a very, very different form. Now, low self-esteem will make you very shy. You won't come out, even though you know something. You will not come out because you feel intimidated. You feel not good enough. You have imposter syndrome. You can't even speak in public because you feel that you are not good enough. That is when you continually use the wrong disciplining measure on your children. You speak to them as if maybe they don't know what they are doing. Actually, if you have been following my classes and you've been following my what I've been teaching all this while, you understand that most of these things these children do, they are not their fault. It's because they're in a phase whereby they are still learning. So that phase in which they are learning, their brain is still trying to process information and make sense of their environment. So because the brain is in constant change and in a learning process, most of those things that they do, they are just trying to make sense of their environment. And now you see it as a misbehavior, and the next thing you do is to hit the child, beat the child, stifle the child's ability. For example, a child picks up this pen and he wants to open this pen, and when he was trying to open this pen got destroyed. In your mind, oh, this child wants to spoil my biro, this has broken my pencil, this child is jumping up and down, not knowing that this child is seeking sensory input from their environment, not knowing that this child is trying to learn their world, not knowing that as this child is jumping, that is how their brain is processing information. I don't know. I've talked about Mr. Jegede, right? Some people know about that Mr. Jegede. I will keep talking about Mr. Jegede because Mr. Jegede made me to hate mathematics, because I was that kind of child who loved to move my body, shake my body in class. I don't like to stay in one place when you are teaching me. I want to just move my hands. I want to make sense of my environment. That is how I learn. And Mr. Jigare beats me that day because of that. And now I started having hatred for mathematics. So this is what happens. The child even when they know it, they would not want to speak in public because they feel intimidated. We are all a product of nurture and nature. Thank you, Mrs. Opara. God bless you. So that is it. So rebellion, you see the child rebelling. Why do you think we have a lot of theft in our environment today? We see a lot of rebels, we see thieves around, we see thugs around. Why do you think they are like that? Those people have been conditioned to behave that way. They have been conditioned. When you come from a background where the only disciplinary measure that you have been conditioned to know is beating, why won't you become a thug? If the only disciplinary measure you have been conditioned to know is only hitting and beating, what happens? That person will become a wife beater. You see, that is why you see a lot of people beating their wives. Because of that condition, they already know that that is the only response that they can give when somebody is wrong. And it's a bad conditioning. Very bad conditioning. Very bad. We see some people with a lot of aggressive behavior. It is the effect of the wrong disciplinary approach. So please let us consider these things. Let's consider these things. What are we doing right? Most of children have been impaired. Their growth have been impaired. Your child is already having a sensory processing difficulty. You are now trying to even make it worse. When it focuses more on punishment rather than teaching and guidance, it might impair their growth. Now, there's a way the brain functions. Like I used to say, I said the brain, there's a part of the brain that is called the prefrontal cortex. And that part of the brain that is responsible for starting a task and finishing it, is responsible for executive function. It's to help your child function like a king. It helps your child to start a task and finish it. It helps your child to remember. It helps your child to be coordinated. But the more you hit, the more you slap, the more you use verbal abuse, do you know what happens? That part of the brain gets delayed to be processed. As in, it's the development becomes very stunted. It's just as if you have a flower, and at the end of the day you keep pouring evil seed on that flower, you keep pouring bad seed on that flower, you keep pouring, in fact that flower would not blossom. The same thing with your children, the same thing. So you have to be, this thing is not very easy. Oh, it's not going to be so easy because your children are going to make you angry, they're going to make you very annoyed. Like today my daughter still made me to be angry, but I still had to control my emotions. I still had to be very in check of my emotions, that I would not use the wrong disciplinary measure, because I understand these things. Even though we know that sometimes we might lose it, but the fact that you lose it does not mean that you are a bad parent. It means that you are learning on your journey. So when you lose it, please come back and start working on yourself. Okay, so understand these things. So how are you managing the seeds God has placed in your hands? So how you manage the seeds in your hands will determine how far they will go. How far they will go. How are you managing the seeds in your hands? If you are managing them right, you see that you see a result. So if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? So think about these things. You see many people going to deliverance ground today, they are trying to go to deliver themselves, trying to pray, 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 pray. But the truth is that there is a result of their upbringing. Most of them is upbringing, most of them they are dealing with the battle of the mind, struggling with I'm not good enough, struggling with in homes whereby have you seen some girls, like some girls love a home whereby if there's no violence in that home, they're not okay. They love it. They'll tell you that ah, this boy is just too quiet. I don't like him. He's just too quiet. I want violence. They will even tell you that is what they want. It's a result of their upbringing. They have been conditioned to believe that, oh, this is how a home is supposed to be. That is why they end up with somebody who beats them, because that is how they feel. That is, you hear some girls even tell you that, oh, if he does not started beating you, he doesn't love you. Oh, like seriously, haven't you heard that? You've heard that? I've heard that before. I've seen that. It's as a result of how they were raised. So let's consider these things. Is this thing going to help our children? The thing we are doing, the methods we are using, is it going to help, or is it going to build them? So your disciplinary measure should aim at helping them, teaching them, guiding them, leading them, directing them, providing solution, giving them the grace to pick right choices. We have children who are gifted yet caged, strong-willed, full of energy, but yet trapped. They're stifled. Those things can't come out because you are not giving this expression. The little expression it has, you are stifling it. Please don't do that. Your goal isn't to raise a well-behaved child. It's to raise a child who is well adjusted. And well adjusted means that your children they're not going to always make you happy. Yes, they won't be always make you happy because they are growing and they are learning. They will make mistakes. You will cry together. You will even cry as you're raising them, because it's not going to be easy. The journey is not going to be easy. It's a difficult journey, very difficult. But God is going to help us with knowledge and with understanding. We'll be scaled through. So many people are going to, like I said, gifted yet scared, strong with fear, full of energy yet trapped. We have a lot of them in the society today. So let us look at the rules for effective discipline. So for us to raise our strong, remember I told you that our strong-willed children, they are born leaders. These ones are the ones that have been born leaders. These ones have a lot of resilience. They have a lot of energy inside of them. They have so much of gift inside of them. So what are the rules for you to effect an effective disciplinary measure? What are the rules? What rules can we put in place? Number one is consistency. Consistency is a tool in parenting. So when you are enforcing this disciplinary, ensure you are consistent. Don't enforce a rule today and stop at it and say, oh, let me just give the child. The child is strong, the child wants your phone, and because he's crying, oh, let me just give him the phone. The child doesn't understand. Children at that age, they don't understand what they call consistency. Oh. It is do as I go. So anything you do now, you have to be consistent. If you let your no be your no, let your yes be your yes. If you say no, let it be no. You don't use my phone, you don't touch my phones. Let your no be no. Stick to it. Consistency. When you do something today, keep doing it. Don't stop at it like, oh, I do it today, tomorrow you don't do it, next tomorrow you don't do it. The child, there's no consistency in the brain pattern, because for an information to register in the brain of your child, it has to come up like over 30 or 40 times for it to register in the brain. It has to come up a lot of times, a lot of times. It has to come up a lot of times. So it has to be like there'll be a brain pathway, like a pathway in the child's brain that it registers. So consistency is key. The discipline must be related to the behavior. So don't give disciplinary measure that is not related. When I mean related, for example, a child who who you are trying to who is jumping on the bed. Let's say for example he's jumping on the bed, and because he's jumping on the bed, you ask him to kneel down and raise up his hand and do that. Is that related? It's not related. So the disciplinary measure must be related to the behavior, meaning whatever disciplinary measure you are giving must be related to that misbehavior that you feel your child is misbehaving. So it must be related. Okay, so I shared a workbook in the group today, and some of those I shared a PT valve technique, I shared vestibular techniques, intervention you can give to your child, tactile activities. If you see, if a child who is always wanting to touch, who has feeling to touch, you see them wanting to touch things, what do? We give them therapeutic activities, meaning you can give them play doh to play with. What does that do to the child? It helps the child to make sense of their feelings, their textures and everything. So what does that do? That is related. It is related. Okay, so another one, it should be fair. Your disciplinary measure must be fair. It shouldn't be something. You don't even use food as a disciplinary measure. So you think about those things. So one of those things you can use is you have to help your child. Another thing you should do is, for this disciplinary measure must teach your child. It must help your child, and it must repair your child and not humiliate your child. It must never humiliate your child. It must not be something that will shame the child or bring shame to the child. No this and no peace. Your disciplinary measure, I've heard people say, use the word, even in school, what's the name of that song they like singing sef? They'll say shame, shame, shame. I can't even remember the song because I don't even know it. They'll use shame on the child. So it must never humiliate the child. It must never make the child at the end of the day feel bad about themselves. So you should consider these things. So your disciplinary measure must not shame your child. It must not destroy your child. Rather, it must repair your child. Okay. So understand this thing. So let's quickly go into the disciplinary techniques we could use for our strong-willed child. Now, most of the disciplinary strategies we are going to be used here could also be used for your compliant child. So if you have a child who is compliant, you could also use this disciplinary measure for them. You could use disciplinary measure for them. So if you have a child who is compliant, so let's look at this difference. So number one, look at this guy. You see his face. He's looking very. The next thing you're supposed to do now, when he's looking at you like, is to give him one very hot slap. But we are not doing that because we have knowledge. So we are going to look at what are the different techniques for a strong-willed child. For those children who are spirited, who are strong-willed, who have a will of their own, who you always talk to but they would never listen. Now, one thing I want to let you know, that these things are not going to come easy. So you might do it the first day, it might not work. You might do it the second day, it might not work. You might decide to work the third day. So you have to keep trying. Most times, what we want is quick action. We want quick action. We want quick action. That is why we resort to punishments and beating. Beating is a quick action. Yes, it's quick. It's very, very quick and gives you results fast, fast. But because it gives you results fast, fast, does not mean it is the best approach. So the fact that something gives you a fast result does not mean that it is the best approach. Okay, know this and know this well, that the fact that punishment will give you a fast, yes, your child will obey at that point in time, the child will listen to you at that point in time, but think about the resultant effect. Anything you are doing, always look at the resultant effect. What is the end result? What is the end result? Look at the end results. Don't look at the immediate effect, because the immediate effect, you will love it. Yes, people will even people will even congratulate you and say, oh, wow, 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 that's good, you've done the right thing. But what is the effect of this method? So the first one is to establish clear and consistent expectations. You have to establish clear and consistent expectation. Consistency in your routine is key. Children need to learn consistency. It is when your discipline measure is consistent, meaning when you say something, let it be something you will do for the rest of the day or the rest of your life. Don't say something and you now shift away from it. That is not disciplinary technique. You are failing in your approach. So it has to be clear. It has to be clear and it has to be consistent. Consistency is a technique. Consistency is a tool in parenting. Understand this. It is a tool, it is a technique that you can employ, because children learn by consistency, by repetition. Children learn by repetition. When you say something and you keep doing it all the time, all the time, all the time, that is how children learn. So if you establish a rule about completing homework, ensure you follow through, because that is what the strong-willed child wants. Wants to see you, wants to test you whether you will still keep up with what you have said. They will even tell you that, mommy, shebi you said is this one and this one. But you have to be consistent. Consistency is a tool. So number two is for you to use positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement, meaning positive reinforcement could be encouragement, praises, rewards. So one thing that the strong-willed child loves is encouragement. So some children love to be encouraged. So understand this fact, that when your child does something like chores, when your child does something like chores, they do it well. Okay, you have to positively reinforce them, meaning you have to say things that will keep that behavior going. So if your disciplinary measure is only offering consequences to your child will see you as a mafian. They will see you as a mafian, like a warrior, because you are only coming out when there is problem. But when there is no problem, when your child does something good, you don't say things like, oh wow, you did this thing beautiful, I love it, I love what you just did. You don't have to wait until your child do bad things before you come out. Some of us are tigers. It is only when the children does something bad, that is when we come out and start talking. But when the child does something good, you will never reward the child. So you have to create a plan, a system whereby your disciplinary measure would include both positive reward and positive reinforcement, such as reward, praises, where you praise the child's efforts. When you do these things, you see that this child becomes softer, his heart becomes softer. Remember, you are parenting the heart of the child, you are not parenting the behavior. So most of these things will lift up the spirit of your child, your strong child. It is not going to stifle their spirit, it lifts them. So we are talking about disciplining the strong child without breaking their spirit. So praise and reward can help to uplift their spirit. You see that when they are being rewarded, I'm not saying that you should keep rewarding the child. What I'm saying is that let there be a reward system in your home, whereby when the child does something good, you reward the child. Don't always look out for only when the child does something wrong for you to punish the child, but also include reward system in your home. If everything you do is for you to continually punish your child will see you as a mafian. We see you as a warrior. You're only coming out when there's problem. What do warrior do? It's only when there's war, that is when they come out. They don't come out when there's peace. You won't see them. Then we only see them when there's war. Another disciplinary measure you could use is for you to offer limited choices. So you have to provide choices within your limits. So there are choices within your limits that you can provide. Learn to provide choices within you. When I mean choices within your limits, for example, your child wants to you want to try to give your child food. The child says, I don't want to eat bread. Now today, I cooked vegetable soup. My children don't like to eat vegetable soup. They don't like eating vegetable soup. So what do? I offer them choices within my limit. I cannot say they might maybe it is even fried rice that they want to eat, but I will not offer fried rice to them as a choice. I can tell them that, do you want to eat bread and tea, or do you want to take pap? That is a choice within my limits. So one of those things about strong with children, you remember I told you they have a choice of their own. So when you give them choices, they have a kind of a sense of control. It means that they start feeling like they are the boss here. Remember, they love to feel bossy, like they like to feel like, oh, I am in charge. So you have to give them that choice. Let them have a kind of feel or sense of control, that are in control. So giving them choices helps them feel like they're in control. So you ask them questions like, do you want this or that? That is giving them choices within your limits. So let them choose acceptable options. Okay, give them choices. Do you want to wear the blue clothes, or you want to wear the red clothes? So giving them choices gives them a sense of control. They start feeling in charge. Oh, I am in charge. That is what a strong willed child love. They love being in charge. They love feeling like, oh, I am the boss here. So you make them feel like the boss by giving them choice, not knowing that in your own mind you know what you are doing. You're only giving them choices within your limits. So another thing you should do is for you to implement a behavior chart. So you could create a visual chart for behavior. Meaning that, what does that mean? It means that there's a clear expectation for behaviors. For example, when the child cleans the shoe, like what I've tried to establish for my daughter now. There's a chart on our door where I wrote her work, her daily routine, like her daily work. Her duty basically when she comes back from school is for her to clean the shoes. So you should try to include chores in your children routine, because if there's no chores there, it doesn't give them a sense of responsibility. Chores give your children a sense of responsibility, knowing that this is what I am supposed to do every day. So you have to just create a behavior chart. Like, okay, for example, even though you don't have it written down, it could be verbally written, but the best thing to do is for you to have it like a visual chart. Let the child know that, oh, when you finish this in a week, this is your reward. This is what you are going to get. And now reward might not be that you must give the child or buy something for the child. Your reward could be a hug. Your reward could be kisses. Like, let me just give you a peck. Your reward could just be encouragement. Your reward doesn't have to be something physical. Are you getting me? Please, if you are getting me, just put it in the comment section you are getting me, and you can just tell me what you are getting from this session. Okay, and do me a favor of taking a screenshot of this session and put it in the WhatsApp group. Let them know we are here and you are getting value from this session. Please, if you are getting value, please just just give me some fire emoji. Let me know you are getting value. Let me know that I am not speaking alone. So if you are getting it, just put it in the comment section. Let me know that you are getting value. Okay. Oh, thank you, Miss Sister Busola. Disciplinary method must be fair, must teach your child. You should not humiliate or shame the child. All right, thank you so much. So let's continue. So I have over 35 disciplinary techniques, so I don't know how I'm going to do it today. So I guess I should be very fast. So because of time. So create that behavior chart. So let's go to the next one. It must be time related consequences. Okay. So for example, if the child refuses to pack up their toys within a particular period of time, one of those things you could do is for you to pack up that toy and limit their access to it for a specific period of time. That is time related consequence. You might decide that, oh, in the next 24 hours, you would not be able to access this toy. And even if the child will cry heaven and earth, the child is not getting it within that specific period of time. Remember, I told you that your disciplinary measure must be fair. Because of that, you should not come and extend it to 1 week. The child will just lose interest in that disciplinary measure, and just say, "Oh, it's not to collect my this thing for 4 weeks. What? I don't even want it again. I don't want it again. Take it away." But when you take it for a short period of time and bring it back again, there's still value in that disciplinary approach. But when you just take it away and you start using that thing all over and over and over and again, over and over and again, this child will not value that particular disciplinary measure. There will be no value to it because it's, oh, maybe it's just to beat me. Maybe it's just to take away this thing. I don't even want it again. So don't allow the disciplinary measure to lose value. Let it not lose value. So it should be time related. Okay. So another thing is natural consequence. Allow the child to experience a natural consequence of their choices within a safe. For example, a child who is trying to jump from one place to the other, you want to jump, okay, you want to jump, right? When you jump and you hit your head on the wall and you stand up, you will learn your lesson. Like what I used to tell my children, I say, why are you people shouting? Maybe they want to jump. Now when you jump, you feel it. Maybe you want to make sense of the environment, you feel how it is in your on your leg. Nobody will tell you. Next time you will learn that, you will learn consequence that, oh, when I move like this and I don't take precaution, I hit my leg, I injure myself. Oh, it's painful, right? I'll ask them when it happens, what I say first, I'll say, oh, sorry, it's painful, Abby. How does it feel? How does it feel? Feels painful, right? How do you feel? Say, it's very painful, it pains me. I say, yeah, sorry. Next time you have to be careful. Or at that point in time, I redirect the child to something else. When I see that you're trying to feel your environment, or you're trying to, your brain is already giving you signal to start jumping around, I immediately want to provide a solution to you. Remember, discipline is to help your child and to redirect your child to something productive. So what you can do at that point in time is for you to redirect the child. So natural consequence is one of those ways to help that child. Another thing for you to do is for you loss of privileges is a disciplinary measure. So this helps your child to connect action with consequences. So you could decide as a parent for you to help them lose their privileges. Oh, I've been telling you to keep that iPad. It is time up. Keep that iPad. And you are not playing iPad, or you're not playing with your iPad for the next 24 hours. That is loss of privileges. They lose the privilege because that time whereby they will be doing screen time, they would be doing something else. You can decide to give them something else to do, another activity to do instead of screen time. So they have lost that privilege. So when they know that they are going to lose something, when you speak to them or you talk to them at that point in time, they will obey, they will listen, because they are scared of losing privileges. Okay, so that is one of those discipline measure you could use for your strong big child. Another thing is time out with reflection. You see, time out is a tool for child to reflect on their behavior. Like for example, remember the mindfulness technique, mindfulness journal I gave to you. I shared a mindfulness journal in the group. So that mindfulness journal can be a tool you could use. Your children can use it to reflect. Reflection is, especially if you have a teenager or you have a preteen, that would work very well. Mindfulness is a skill for them to reflect. Reflection is a skill. You see, many adults don't even know how to reflect. When they go through problems, they don't know how to reflect because it was not properly taught to them as a child. So you can teach your child how to think about the actions they have taken. Most times, what your child needs is not shouting. Especially if you have teenagers, they don't need you to shout at them at that point in time. Most of them, they don't need shouting because most times children would even prefer you to beat them than for you to shout on them. There was a research that was carried out in some schools, and they asked some children, do you want your father to beat you or to speak to you? Which one do you prefer? They said they preferred to be beaten, because if my mother say a word to you, oh my god, you can die. I remember I was going for a school tour. It was called Stop the Bullying Tour. So we were talking to some students, and the guy told me something. He said, if my mother talked to you, oh my god, if my mother talked to you, I prefer my mother to beat me, because if she talk to me like this, you're gonna be thinking about your life. That's what the guy told me. So you see, so instead of you speaking, you could tell your child to go and think about what they have done and let them reflect. They could even journal those things. And you could have a time out whereby two of you can communicate. Communication is a strategy, also, is a disciplinary strategy whereby you and your child could have time whereby you reflect and think about those things that, oh, this is what you did I don't like. Please, can you do this way, because anytime you do it this way, I'm not always happy. But because of the connection you have with your child will listen to you. That is why connection is a skill. Connection is one of those tools that you can use in your parenting to help your child manage their behavior. If you don't have a connection strategy, a strategy whereby you would have one-on-one time with your children, this works for especially if you have teenagers and you have preteens, whereby you people have one-on-one time where you speak and talk. It helps your child to manage their behavior. So another thing you could do is for you to use behavior contracts. Behavior contracts. Like there was a time I signed a contract with my daughter. She wanted to play. It wasn't playtime, but she wanted to play at that point in time. So I brought out my a book where we signed the contract. In that contract, I told her that this is the specific period of time you want to play. Oh yeah, let us sign. So we signed that contract, and that contract was binding. So most times your children that is just it's just a brain hack for your child. Your child might not understand this thing, but you just want to use it as a means for your child to listen and to obey at that point in time. So you could decide to sign the contract, or you could create a behavior, like I said, a behavior chart. It's still part of it. Another disciplinary measure you could use is calm discussion. I said it before. I said you don't need to keep shouting, screaming, making a lot of noise and everything. No, it doesn't have to be all that. It doesn't have to be. Discipline doesn't have to be speaking, shouting, making a whole lot of noise. No, calm discussion can actually do it. Oh, I have been talking, my child is not listening. You have not been communicating the right way. You have not been using the right speech. You have not been using the right words. You have not been using the right tone. You have not been using the right tone. So whenever you are speaking, think about the tone in which you are using to speak that word. Your tone matters. Your word matters. The way you say the word matters. The tone, your intonation matters. You know, when there's a way you speak high, then your child it will look as if you are fighting. And there's a way you can speak very calmly, and it will look as if you understand your child. Your child say, oh, she understands me. But it's the way you can speak that your child, even your child self will be afraid. So calm discussion can actually work for your strong-willed child. It can. Stop thinking that, oh, I've been speaking, the child is not listening. It's because spoken, you've not spoken in the language that your child understands. You have not used their love language to speak to them. So there's a strategy called the love language strategy, whereby you could use your child's love language to discipline them. Yes, you could use your child's love language. For example, there are some children who love word of affirmation. There's some children who love gifts. There's some children who love physical touch. Yes, there are some children like that. So you could also use your children love language as a disciplinary technique to help them. So you could include it into your routine and your disciplinary approach. So another method is for you to teach problem solving skill. Help the child develop problem solving skill. It is a skill. What do I mean by problem solving skill? Meaning you start teaching your child alternative ways to handle challenges and discuss the potentials of outcome of different choices. Now, if a child who you have been telling not to go and do a certain thing, but the child is refusing to do this thing, now what do? You start teaching the child how to problem solve. Okay, when you are going through this particular thing, or you want to do this thing, what is the next approach for you to take? So instead of you going this direction, why don't you take this direction? Okay, instead of you hitting my table, why don't you take your drum and start hitting your drum, or go to a calm down corner and play your drums? That is problem solving. The child is going through a problem, but you are giving the child a solution. You are teaching the child how to self-regulate, how to manage that problem the child is going through at that point in time. Because most times the child is struggling too. The child is trying to understand their environment. The child is trying to make sense of their environment. Their brain is constantly trying to pass signals to the neurons in the brain. The neurons in the brain is trying to pass signals, or sorry, to the senses, that, oh, this is what I need at this point in time. Please give me this, please give me this, please give me this. So you teach your child how to problem solve. Whenever you feel like jumping, why don't you go to the trampoline? Why don't you go and jump on the trampoline? Whenever you feel like speaking, why don't you use your headphones, whenever you feel like making some loud noise or some, why don't you take your headphones and listen to some calm music? So all these things are all problem solving skills that you could actually teach your children. Another disciplinary strategy you could use is humor. Many of us are too rigid. Everything you take it so seriously. You're taking everything so serious, and there's no humor in your parenting. There's some things that you don't even you don't even make noise about. There's some things you just use humor to handle. Sorry, please excuse me. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So there's you use humor. You use humor. So injecting humor could diffuse tension and redirect negative behavior. For example, I will give an example of my children. Usually, this works for especially toddlers. Toddlers, immediately you start seeing, or maybe immediately your child starts giving you some kind of action, especially during bedtime. You are telling the child, "Oh, come and sleep." Child is refusing to sleep. What if you include a playful bedtime routine? You include a playful bedtime routine in your routine to help your child transition. What if you start singing a lullaby? You start singing songs to help your child at the end of the day, or you tell a funny story a story that will make your children laugh, and they will laugh and they will sleep. But you are very, very rigid. Go and sleep, go and sleep. You start shouting, you start screaming. Sometimes children don't understand those things. They need you to come down to their level. They need you to come down to their level and think like them. Especially if you have children who are toddlers, they need you to come down to their level. Stop being a lion in the let's say lion in the tribe of Judah. No, you are not a lion in the tribe of Judah. It's just that like not be a lion or a tiger in your home. Infuse humor, make your home a safe environment where your child can thrive. Stop being so rigid about everything. Stop being so hard about everything. But sometimes what the child needs is a little bit of humor to help them release tension. When you include those humor in your routine, you see that your child, their heart becomes softened. Their heart becomes softened. It's not every time that you keep shouting. Another technique you could use is for you to establish a warning system before time. So you have to keep providing clear warnings before implementing consequences. I will talk about that some. There's still a part where I will talk about for you to even say, "Oh, I've tried everything that I've taught now. Oh, Christabel, this thing is not working. Oh, have you warned the child?" Most times we don't even warn the child. We just act based on impulse. The next thing we are seeing is Ubebai. I don't know. Let me not speak my language. You know what they call Ubebai? Ubebai is turning stick. The next thing you see is the turning stick, and the next thing is to hit the child on the head. Mrs. Priscilla, you're welcome. Mrs. Rachi Pictures, you're welcome. The next thing you are seeing is the turning stick. Like the next thing is to give the child a resetting slap. You don't even warn the child. There's no warning. No, there's no warning. It's just you brain resetting slap. That is the next approach. So give the child a warning system. Let there be a warning system before you could decide to warn the child 3 times and okay, if you do this thing again. But when you get the first time, second time, the third time, the child doesn't understand what you're saying, then you cannot enforce your discipline measure. Okay. So establish a warning system whereby you warn your child beforehand, where you can give a verbal warning to your child before taking away privileges. You warn the child, allow the child to adjust their behavior. Then if you see that your child is not corresponding to what you are talking about, that is when you can now say, okay, let me go ahead with my approach or the consequence I have for this child. Okay. So another system is role modeling. So if your child is in an environment where there's constant defiance, people in that place use strong words, there's possibility for your children to continually repeat the same pattern of behavior. So check yourself. How are you modeling these things to your children? What kind of modeling system do you have? Because your children are going to copy your behavior. They're going to copy how you respond to some things. Okay, so when you are going through some difficult time, do you start screaming or do you start shouting or do you start making some kind of funny noises? So if you are that kind of person, when you are going through hard time, you just plug in your earpiece and you start singing or you start meditating on God's words or you start praying in the Holy Ghost or you start speaking in tongues. You are going through a hard time, but you are praying, you are meditating, you are listening to music. Your child is going to learn that from you because children learn through modeling. Children learn through modeling. So let's go on to more. So another discipline strategy you can use is for you to create a calm down corner. A calm down corner. Remember I said that discipline is about teaching your child. So create a place where your child can always calm down. Now your calm down corner could be filled with books. It could be filled with sensory materials, could be filled with a lot of things that can stimulate your child and give your child a sense of calm at the moment. So your child needs a calm down corner. If you have an hyperactive child, especially if you have a child who is very active, who you are even telling to but the child is not even listening. But your mind, oh, this child is very stubborn. At that point in time, what the child needs is to calm down. The child needs a kind of calm down corner. So you have to keep you need to evaluate these things and put in the structures in. Now, putting the structures in your home might not be very, very easy. You might need you to get most of these materials, get these things, buy this, buy some. You don't have to have everything for you to have a structured home. You can start with the little you have. The little you have is enough. So you create a designated place where your child can calm down, where your child can just calm down. So you fill that place with comfortable pillows, sensory items, calming activities. Encourage your child to use this space whenever they are going through some kind of difficult time, or when they need a break, or when they feel overwhelmed. So for example, that place could be a place whereby it could be just be a corner in your child's room, whereby the child can just pick a book and start reading. Or when your child start throwing that tantrum, start behaving somehow, give them a book for them to read, a colorful book. Okay, it could be a dance section whereby you say, okay, let us quickly do some dance, and your child dances, you dance together. That will give your child a sense of calm. Another one is for you to incorporate sensory breaks. Remember, we're talking about the strong-willed child and the spirited child. So I didn't put spirited in my thumbnail because I was in a hurry. So create sensory breaks. I've given a one of those calm down strategies. Please go through them and see how you could incorporate this. Create visual schedules. Use magic breathing techniques. All these are all techniques. Deliberate programming, all these are part of deliberate programming, where you can program your children to do what you want them to do. It's all programming. Parenting is about programming. It's about you programming your children to take steps, to problem solve, to do things you want them to do. It is all about programming. So redirecting your children is also a disciplinary technique. Redirecting them into what you want to do. Like for example, I give an example of um like for example, when my son starts throwing some tantrum, I could just immediately, I'll just say, oh, can you see, can you see. I'll just be very dramatic, very dramatic. I'll start playing some kind of drama. Can you see that? Can you see that spider moving in the sky? Ah, spider. Can you see that spider? Can you see? Can you see? And he throws his face to that spider, and immediately he's distracted. He's distracted at that point in time. He's distracted. His mind focuses on that. You can see that that is a way to actually make them, like, to divert their attention. So all these things are very easy. It's just that most it that is easy. Yes, it is easy if you are consistent. So if you keep doing it all the time, you see that these things will start becoming accustomed to your system. You start seeing it as, oh, this is part of my system. So these are most of those disciplinary strategies that would work for your strong-willed child. So be consistent in this thing. So can after doing all these things, and my child is still doing all those, I applied this, it doesn't work. This is it doesn't work, it didn't work. I did this, it didn't work. Oh, can I still use my child? After doing all this, can I still use my child? Now let me just read this to you. Um let me read this to you. So according to Prince Fowowe, I don't know if you know Prince Fowowe. Prince Fowowe is a family life coach. So after doing all these things, and you applied all these strategies, and you still feel like, so when do you now say, oh, should I use the rod on my child, or should I beat the child with the child? But there's no way you will apply all these strategies, you put all these structures in place, because parenting is about structures and system. So if you listen to all these things, what you will now do as you get home, you will now plan, oh, this is what my child is going through, this is my child's um this is the misbehavior, this is the consequence. You create that system. I will share some consequences and some rewards that you can give to your child in the group. I might not be able to share everything here today, but I'll share it in the group. I'll share some list of consequences and rewards that you can give to your child, so that it can help you and it can ease ease your journey. If you're happy about that, can you put it in the comment sections? That, oh, I'm happy about that. All right, also if you're getting value, please share with me. Okay, so it will not be like I'm talking to myself. Hmm. People should talk. Oh, so let's continue. So when do you now say, okay, should I've done all this, it didn't work? When do you now say, okay, let me use the rod? Oh? So according to Preso, we say never beat a child for what you have not taught them. Meaning you don't have the right to beat that child if you have not taught them all these that I've spoken today. So you don't have any right to go ahead to beat that child. So make sure you teach this child first. Before then, if you not teach the child, then hey, do not come and walk. But there's no way you will do all these things that it won't work. So never beat a child without giving him enough time to assimilate what you have taught him. Meaning, as you have taught this child, give him the grace to assimilate all these things that you, all this disciplinary technique. Give them time. Give your children opportunity to assimilate all that you have taught them. Don't be in a hurry to, oh, this thing did not work, it did not work, it did not work. It didn't work. All this thing they are telling us, it did not work. Let us do the sharp technique. Sharp technique is not always, remember what the Bible says, say narrow is the way that leads to eternal life. The fact that everybody is doing it does not make it right. The fact that the crowd is doing it, the fact that everybody in the world is doing it, or it is the way that we were raised, does not make it the right approach. Doesn't make it the right approach. So never beat a child without giving him enough time to assimilate what he has been taught. So if you are going to teach your child these things, you have to be consistent. If you are going to put in these structures, you have to be consistent. Don't expect the child, your child is not a magician for them to, you remember I said it, the way the child brain learns something is through repetition. You repeat it, you keep repeating, oh, I've spoken today, the child did not listen, I'm tired. Let me use fast approach. Let me use fast approach. Oh, no. Give the child time to assimilate it. It takes time. Even you as an adult, when somebody teaches you something, do you get it once? No, now. But you want the child to get it once. You teach the child once, give the child time to assimilate, to process the information that has been given to them. Don't be in a hurry to see results. You will see results. The result takes time. There's nobody that have done something that those great people in the world, they tried many times, they failed. So don't be afraid to fail as a parent. You will fail on this journey. And I'm not missing my word, or it's not a bad word. You will fail. It's not about winning. Winning is not, it's not about winning all the time. Failures are part of your journey. So don't be afraid to fail. I tried this, it did not work. You failed. Yes. Did anybody die? You continue. You try another method. So stop thinking that, oh, I've tried this, it didn't work. What they're telling us is not working. Have you tried it many times? It's not the amount of time you tried. It's about how much you have tried and what is the result you have gotten in trying. So never beat a child when there is no data to guarantee that beating will correct the behavior. So if the beating is not going to correct the behavior, so why are you using it? If speaking to the child rudely has never corrected the behavior, I've never seen anywhere written where they say, oh, I spoke to this child in this body. It will only make your child feel humiliated and disgraced. But it is not connecting, or it's not helping the behavior. It's not helping the behavior. So never beat a child when you are angry, because you may damage the child. So think about these things. Don't beat that child when your child is angry, when you are angry. Or don't hit the child. Don't try, oh, this is how to do it. This child is making me frustrated. Or you have to learn how to manage yourself, build yourself. Emotion management is a skill. That's another topic on its own, and it's so wide. Learn to manage yourself. Learn to manage your emotions. You need to master how you respond when things don't go the way you want. Another one is never beat a child without giving him chance to defend himself and explain the reason behind the behavior. So the reason behind the behavior, now your children might not even know the reason behind the behavior, why they are doing it. Is you that know the reason, because you have the knowledge. So you know the reason behind your child's behavior. So you have to think about it. Oh, why is this child behaving this way? Why is this child behaving this way? Could it be that this is what this child needs at this point in time? Does it mean that this child wants me to hold them, touch them, love them, connect with them, and speak to them well? Connection is a strategy also. I said it before. Connection is a strategy. So if you don't have, I created a family bonding toolbox called in that toolbox you have a 365 days plan, whereby each day of the year you have an activity to do with your child throughout the whole of the year. Maybe don't even know the value of that connection toolbox, because I've not even been promoting it. I've not been promoting, but I have like one of those tools in the connection toolbox, family connection toolbox, is the family Bible study plan. I shared it with the family faith journey. I have another group here called the family. I just called the family faith journey because it just came out from how the Holy Spirit led me to create the group, whereby we have some parents where we can teach our children the word of God, help them grow in faith, and teach them how to navigate life using the word of God. So one of those tools is the family Bible study plan. And that family Bible study plan, we have 4 times 3, that is 12. Okay, it's a 12 weeks plan, 4 topics in a month. You see, that plan is the fruit of the spirit plan. So when you sit down to teach your children the fruit of the spirit every week, you are dealing on the fruit of the spirit: love, joy, peace, gentleness, meekness, self-control is part of this one. What we are talking about, self-regulation. Self-control, you're teaching them this thing every week. It's part of the connection plan. Remember I told you connection is one of the disciplinary technique you can also use. You are teaching them this thing. Tell me, how will that child heart be strong? Hey, the child heart will not be strong, because you are teaching the child the fruit of the spirit. So if you don't have that plan, please reach out to me. So you can get it, so that you can have a structured way to help your children grow in the world. When your children's heart is in God's hands, it is easy for you to mold them. You are not going to be parenting their behavior any longer. You will be parenting their hearts. What most of us do is we are parenting the behavior. We are not parenting the heart of our children. So when you start teaching them the fruit of the spirit, you teach them the principle of love. You teach them the principle of self-control. You don't have to act at the spur of the moment. You have to think before you react. Okay? You teach them peace, how to make peace with their friends, with their neighbors. All these are part of the plan. Okay, they're part of the plan, the self-control, the fruit of the spirit plan. So does it, if a child has the spirit of God in them, and you have worked so well as a parent, and you have planted the fruit of the spirit, you are doing now. The spirit of the spirit is not something that you plant, oh, I just taught it once. You keep on. You see that plan, we have gone over it like over and over and again. It's a 3 month plan, oh, but we started it all over and again, so that it keeps sinking. Because I understand the fact that consistency is a key in parenting. If you do something once, doesn't mean that it's going to stick. Your children will forget it. Like for example, the beginning of this year, I taught my daughter some memory verse. I was asking her some days ago that memory verse that I taught her. She said she cannot remember any longer. Now, why can't she remember? It's because I'm not consistent in repeating those things. Now, not that she doesn't know them, or she might still have a tip of tongue phenomenon, like, oh, she can still remember faintly, but she might not remember very well because I'm not consistent in teaching it, or I'm not consistent in repeating that. But the ones that she learned of recent, she still knows it. Like maybe she knows them, like she can recite many of those scriptures. But the one that we started, so I've forgotten those ones, but I'll try as much as possible to bring it back so that we can have a rich scripture bank. So that is how it happens with your child. So children learn with repetition. Okay, so never beat a child without giving the child pro time to defend himself. Once you run these checks and you still feel like going ahead, then you can deploy your rod of correction. Then you can what? Deploy your rod of correction. If you the truth is that after doing all this thing, you see that there's no need for you to use a rod of correction, because one of these self will just weaken you. Because most of the time, what we beat children for is not what we have taught them. We beat them for what they don't even have the skill to process yet, or they have not been taught about. So when you even think about number one, never beat a child when you have not taught them. Hey, you will just think about it. Oh, no, no, it's like I've not taught this child what to do. I don't need to be this. So your mind will be, except maybe you don't have guilty conscience. Or you think about, oh, have I given this child the time to process this information that I have given him to? Or have I given this child time to explain themselves? Because most times people don't even give their children chance to explain themselves. They are just, oh, no explanation. You know how soldiers give command? Like soldiers, soldiers, now they just go. Soldier go, then they come back. That is how soldiers are. And you are not a soldier. Are you a soldier? You're not a soldier now. So that's it. Please, let's look at this thing. So if you still look at all this and you now feel that, oh, you can now deploy your rod of operation, meaning that that child needs, what does the child need? Needs Holy Spirit to come down from heaven to come and deal with the child. But there's no way you will employ or you will impute all of these strategies and you would not see results. So I think I've been able to buttress this topic a lot, because we have spent over 1 hour 30 minutes here, and I would want to conclude. So please, as you are doing this, please have realistic expectation. Don't be too, oh, your children will cry. Toddlers are love to cry when they don't get things they want. So you have to be accustomed to that crying. Don't say, oh, why is the child crying? Why is the child? Why is he crying? Why is he crying? He's not getting his way. He's crying. Crying is part of the process. Let them cry. That is how they can express themselves. That is why you need to teach them what to do when they cry. Crying is allowed. Have you seen anybody that died for crying? Not seen, no. Even babies sef, they'll cry, 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 cry. Their mother went to market, did not forget them, left them at home. The baby will cry and cry and cry and cry. Baby will not die. So if the child is crying for, he wants his toy, or he wants his book, or he wants his iPad, and you're not giving it to the child, please don't give up. Hold on to your will. Hold on to your process. Be consistent. Your no should mean no. Your yes should mean yes. Be consistent. Approach discipline with patience, understanding, commitment to essential life skills, and embrace the uniqueness of your child. Remember, your child is different. Your child is not the same with everyone else. Your child is not, the fact that Mr. A wants to beat their child or wants to do something like this, please, you don't have to follow the crowd. if you have a goal, if you have know where you are going to, you know the plans you have for your children. The Bible says, I know the plans I have towards you. They are the plans of good and not of evil, to bring you to an expected end. God's plans for you are good. And remember, the Bible says, ye are gods. Meaning you have the Spirit of God inside of you. So if God has a good plan for you as a parent, why won't you have the same plan for your children? Meaning the Spirit of God is inside of you. You have the Spirit of God inside of you. Meaning, as God has same plans for you, you too should have good plans for your children. And the plans you have for your children should take them to an expected end. So what is your expectation? Your expectation will determine the foundation you are building today. The result you want to see tomorrow, if you want to build a skyscraper or you want to build a house, Bible says there's nobody that builds a house that doesn't consider the cost of building it. So if you want to build a house, you have to think about the foundation you are laying. Disciplinary measures, techniques is part of the foundation. So please embrace your child uniqueness. Though there are some people that have children who are very compliant. If you tell them to sit down here like this, they will sit down. Oh. If you tell them to go to this place, they will go there. But some of you, your children, stay here. Lie. It is that thing that you ask them not to do. That is where they want to go to. So we've talked about how to unlock their potential in I think the second class. So please go and watch the video. So if you have those kind of children, you know how to redirect them, know how to build their resilience, know how to channel their energy, know the kind of career path. I've talked about that in the second class. Please go and read it. So your children is different from the rest. So don't try to parent the child you don't have. Don't start looking at somebody else's child. I wish my child can just be like this child. See the way this child is just obedient in church. You just sit down. No be person born this pikin, no be person born this pikin, no be pikin be this. You will hear them say something like, no be pikin be this. So everybody sit down for you, you no fit sit down, see you. Like, it's no be pikin, but your child is not that child. That child might be compliant. Maybe the way God has made that child is for a purpose. God made that child for a purpose. But God decided to give you a strong will child, a child who has a strong will, that has a choice of his own. Meaning this kind of child has leadership qualities, has the ability to. Those ones are the ones who will stand in place in the society, who will advocate. You see them. I talk about the story of Malala, how Malala was able to advocate for those girls in Pakistan. Even when she was shot, she was still fighting. Those children have fighting spirits. So you understand that your child is different. Your child is not the same. So don't stop trying to think about other people's children and say, why is this child not doing this? I want my child to be like this child. No, I don't wish my children to be like any other child. I love my children the way they are. If you love your children, put it in the comment section. Say, I love my children the way they are, and I'm going to help them to become all that God has called them to be. Okay, if you're catching the replay, if you're watching this part, I want you to put it in the comment section. Say, I love my children for who they are, and I'm going to help them. It doesn't matter what it takes to me. It doesn't matter the cost, because it's going to cost you. It's going to take so much out of you, but you must make up your mind that you must do something differently. You must not repeat the same pattern in which you were raised, because the truth is that parenting patterns can be repeated. Most of those things that you blame your parents for, you see yourself still doing them. Most of those things that you complain about your parents, you have seen yourself still doing them. And it's not your fault. Because most of us don't even understand that we are repeating patterns. So I pray for you today that your journey will be guided with love, with consistency, with unwavering. You see, I even put it in my slide. I said, may your journey be guided by love, consistency, unwavering belief that through effective discipline, you are shaping a future filled with compassionate, responsible, and confident individual. It is my prayer for you that after the end of this session or after the end of this class, you will start inputting all these things in your plans. And at the end of the day, you will raise your children to become compassionate, because the disciplinary strategy you are using for your children will determine if they are going to be compassionate, or if they are going to have empathy. A child who is always beaten, do you think that child will have empathy? For real, forget it. The child cannot have empathy. A child who they use abusive word on, do you think that child can have compassion on people? Oh, sorry, that child cannot be compassionate. That child will be filled with hatred. That child will even find it very difficult to love other people. That child cannot be confident. That child can't be confident. So consider all these things, okay? So I'll leave you with this last word. I'll leave you with this last word, that I just sorry. I want you to, this picture, can you see this picture of this man and this son? So the way you treat your children today will determine how they are going to treat you tomorrow. That's the word I'm going to leave you with. The way you treat your children today will determine the way they are going to treat you. So think about the disciplinary, so that you will not be the one that was, you will not be a subject of discussion tomorrow. When your children start discussing, oh, it is because of how my parents raised me, you will not become a subject of discussion. Why don't you become a subject of discussion for good thing? Then not be a subject of discussion for the evil or for the bad things you have done. Please, let it not be heard of you. Let it not be heard of you. Because the seeds you are planting today will determine how your children are going to treat you tomorrow. Okay? All right. We've come to the end of this session, and if you have any question, please can you put it in the comment section so that I can answer it before we get to the group. And please, if you got value from this session, just go to the group and tell me what you got from session. You know, there's something called feedback. When you finish watching something, you give us feedback now. You know, communication is not complete when there's no feedback. If there's no feedback, how do I know that I have done justice to this subject? So if there's no feedback, I will not be able to understand that, oh, I passed my message. I might feel that, oh, maybe I did not teach them very well, or maybe I didn't do my job well. So please give me feedback. Give me feedback. If you got value from this session, tell me what you got from this session. Give me feedback. Write to me. Tell me, Christabel, thank you so much for this class. I appreciate you. This is what I got from this session. This is what I'm going to be applying on my journey. Okay? Please, if you have any question, just put it in the comment section. No, before we round up this class, put in the comment section that you got value and you have any question. So if you don't have any question, please can we just end the session and see you in the next. Okay, do we have any next class? I think there's still one more topic to cover: managing overwhelm. When it comes to, I can teach that in the WhatsApp group. I can teach that in the WhatsApp group, managing overwhelm. So I can just give like some steps. I can send it, or I can send it as a PDF file to the group. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you. So let me just mention many people that joined our this session today. Thank you, Mrs. Amaka Okpara. Mrs. Okpara was already here even before we started the session. Sister, I used to call her Sister Oluwa Busola. Sister Oluwa Busola, she used to be my um choir coordinator in school. We used to call her mommy. She's here. Then Mrs. Priscilla, thank you for joining the session. Mrs. Rachi Peters, Mrs. Priscilla, Mrs. Amaka, thank you so much for joining the session. I appreciate you. God bless you. And have a lovely evening. Thank you. Please, if you are catching the replay, don't forget to put in replay in the comment section and tell me what you got from this session and what you are willing to do differently on your journey. All right. Have a beautiful evening. My name is Christabel and I am your host. Have a lovely evening. God bless you. Bye. I'm ending this session now.